Caitlin Clark's the new it. If you don't have a long ball, talking about the 26, 30 feet, if you ain't doing the Steph Curry, if you ain't got none of that long ball in your game, yeah, you're going to be behind.
She's doing stuff we've never seen before. Never seen nobody do that on a consistent basis. There's a lot of girls in WNBA that have done it in spurts, but you know, that game I'm watching y'all in the Final Four, I'm like, damn, like, and I was a hater because, you know, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot, and bam, like, damn.
Anyone who follows basketball closely understands that Caitlin Clark has become a major force in the way people view and discuss women's basketball. Her impact has reached far beyond the WNBA, catching the attention of NBA legends and longtime basketball icons who understand exactly how difficult it is to dominate at the highest level. The excitement surrounding the league has reached another level because of Clark's performances, personality, and enormous fan following. But the story becomes even more interesting when some of the biggest names in basketball start talking about her. Michael Jordan's reported comments about Caitlin Clark have generated significant attention, and any praise from someone with Jordan's legendary status carries enormous weight. When a player of his stature recognizes what Clark is doing, it sends a powerful message about just how special her talent could be. And Jordan isn't the only NBA legend who has taken notice. NBA great Rick Barry has also been outspoken when discussing the criticism Caitlin Clark has received since entering the WNBA. Barry has argued that some of the negativity surrounding Clark may be connected to jealousy, insecurity, or simply discomfort with how quickly she became one of the league's biggest attractions. Whether every critic agrees with his assessment or not, his comments highlight a larger conversation about how Clark has been treated compared with the enormous attention and commercial value she has brought to women's basketball. Barry's defense essentially sends a message to Clark's doubters. Instead of tearing down a player capable of bringing millions of new eyes to the sport, the league should recognize the opportunity in front of it. His perspective adds another powerful voice to the growing group of basketball legends who believe Clark deserves appreciation for what she has already accomplished.
I think it's reprehensible what they're allowing some of these players. Anybody that does something flagrant to this young lady for what she's brought to the game should be suspended and fined big time for doing that.
WNBA legend George Gervin has also been mentioned among the basketball greats who have recognized Caitlin Clark's impact. Rather than ignoring the criticism surrounding her, Gervin's perspective emphasizes the importance of appreciating exceptional talent when it arrives. Clark's ability to shoot from extraordinary distances, create opportunities for teammates, and attract unprecedented attention has made her impossible to overlook. For supporters, that is exactly why the constant criticism seems so unnecessary. Gervin's reported defense adds another legendary basketball voice to a conversation that continues to grow larger every season. What makes these endorsements especially interesting is that they come from players who understand the game at an elite level. These aren't casual observers reacting to social media clips. They spent years competing against the best athletes in professional basketball and understand the difference between temporary hype and genuine ability. That's why their opinions carry so much weight among fans. As more former NBA stars acknowledge Clark's talent and influence, the debate surrounding her becomes less about whether she belongs at the center of the basketball conversation and more about how far her impact can ultimately go.
They don't know the value that she's bringing for all of them. She bringing, they flying private planes now. They went flying private before she came. They on major networks now. They weren't doing that. See, she remind me of Tiger Woods for golf.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most interesting opinions come from former players who aren't constantly appearing on television or searching for headlines. That's why Jeff Teague's perspective received so much attention. Teague enjoyed a successful 12-year NBA career, established himself as a quality starting guard, earned an All-Star selection, and won an NBA championship. However, unlike some retired stars, he never became one of the most heavily marketed personalities in sports media. Now that he's away from the NBA spotlight, Teague has been much more willing to speak openly about issues surrounding professional basketball, including the way Caitlin Clark was welcomed into the WNBA. Teague's delivery can be blunt and unfiltered, but the central argument behind his comments is worth examining. Clark entered the league carrying an enormous fan base and unprecedented attention after her college career. Instead of viewing that attention as a problem, Teague argued that the league should recognize it as an opportunity. The WNBA had spent years trying to increase its visibility, attract larger audiences, and create stronger commercial interest. Then Clark arrived and immediately brought millions of additional eyes to women's basketball. From Teague's perspective, treating that development negatively makes little business sense. His comments ultimately focused on a simple idea: If the league wants to grow, it should embrace players who bring new fans through the door.
Like, they played this all wrong, bro.
Terribly, bro.
They was supposed to gas this shit. This is why people don't watch the shit when y'all leave college. Women's sports, because y'all hating on the best thing that's going to happen to the W.
After years of arguments surrounding the gender pay gap in professional sports and countless attempts to increase the visibility of women's basketball, Caitlin Clark's arrival created momentum that the WNBA had been trying to build for decades. Yet despite that enormous opportunity, she also experienced a difficult transition into the professional league. Teague's criticism was essentially that this kind of environment could hurt the WNBA financially while also sending the wrong message to the growing audience Clark brought with her. Whether someone agrees with every part of his delivery or not, his broader point is that Clark's commercial value and basketball talent deserve to be recognized rather than treated as a problem. Another former NBA star who has been involved in the conversation is Celtics legend Paul Pierce. The 10-time All-Star has made several controversial comments about Clark, particularly during the early portion of her rookie season. Some of those remarks generated significant backlash and eventually created additional controversy surrounding the way the media discussed the Indiana Fever guard. Over time, however, Pierce appeared to show more respect toward Clark's development and the impact she was having on the league. His comments following Clark's omission from the U.S. Olympic roster became another major talking point because they presented a more complicated view of her situation.
You claim you want the women's game to grow, and then you keep the most popular girl in women's basketball off the team. How do you grow internationally and domestically if you don't put her on the U.S. team? It just makes the most sense. Sometimes you have to say, hey guys, this is bigger than the game, which it is. I mean, women's basketball is at an all-time high because of Caitlin Clark.
At first glance, Pierce's argument might sound completely supportive of Clark. He suggested that having her on the Olympic roster could have helped increase interest in women's basketball and potentially attracted even more attention to the sport. However, when you examine the reasoning more closely, there's still an important distinction in his argument. Pierce appeared to suggest that Clark's inclusion would have been valuable from a popularity and business perspective, while leaving room for debate about whether she had done enough on the court to automatically earn a roster spot based purely on basketball merit. That's an important distinction because Paul Pierce has always been one of the more outspoken and provocative former NBA players in sports media. His opinions frequently generate debate, and sometimes his comments appear designed to keep the conversation going. So, while his recognition of Clark's popularity was significant, fans naturally questioned how strongly he truly believed in her basketball ability at that stage. Either way, his evolving comments showed just how difficult it had become for major basketball personalities to ignore Clark's influence. And then came another unexpected moment. Just when the conversation around Caitlin Clark seemed impossible to make any bigger, Shaquille O'Neal brought her name into the discussion while appearing on Angel Reese's podcast. What made the moment particularly interesting was the setting. Reese has frequently been placed at the center of comparisons with Clark, and the two young stars have become major figures in the WNBA's new era. Hearing Shaq openly praise Clark in that environment immediately grabbed attention. The Big Diesel made it clear that Clark possesses a rare level of talent and influence, creating another headline for fans to debate. When one of basketball's most recognizable legends gives Clark that kind of recognition, it becomes another reminder that her impact has already reached far beyond the WNBA itself.
And I was a hater because, you know, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot. And bam, like, damn, she's not going to hit that shot. Man, like, if I say 10 times you're not going to hit the shot and you hit the shot, that means you're the truth. So I'm telling you now, if you just lower it like this.
Missing the biggest sporting event of the year may have been disappointing for Caitlin Clark personally, but in hindsight, it might have turned into an unexpected advantage. That's exactly how legendary NBA center and three-time Defensive Player of the Year Dwight Howard viewed the situation. At the time, Howard suggested that Clark could use the Olympic break as an opportunity to step away from the spotlight, sharpen her skills, recover physically, and prepare herself for an even stronger second half of the season. Looking back, his prediction sounds remarkably accurate. Instead of allowing the disappointment to derail her, Clark appeared to return with even greater focus and determination.
She is a great player, but it's a lot of players that, no lie, who, as far as basketball wise, they have the edge over her of why they should be playing in the Olympics right now. Mind you, this should motivate her. This should make her go harder in the gym. The 3 weeks that they off, she should get in better shape.
Clark looked noticeably more confident and comfortable after the Olympic break. We can't know exactly how much being left off the roster motivated her, but there's no question that she found another level when the season resumed. Traveling to Paris and potentially spending most of the Olympics watching a stacked roster from the sidelines could also have disrupted her rhythm. There was even the possibility of picking up an injury that might have affected her for weeks afterward. Dwight Howard saw something different from what many others saw. Where some viewed Clark's omission as a rejection, he recognized an opportunity. A player with Clark's talent could use that extra time to improve, return stronger, and show why she deserved to be considered among the league's elite. Still, when discussing Clark, it's important to look at the bigger picture. Hall of Fame point guard Isaiah Thomas has always been known for understanding both sides of the basketball business. After an outstanding playing career that included back-to-back NBA championships with the Detroit Pistons, Thomas remained involved in the league as a coach and executive. When asked about Clark, his assessment was largely positive, although he added an interesting perspective about the attention surrounding her.
I think it's great what she's done, and I think it's great what the media and the WNBA and marketing and the players are doing because, controversy is not good, but, controversy sells.
Thomas managed to deliver a compliment while also pointing out something uncomfortable about the media environment surrounding Caitlin Clark. His broader point was that controversy attracts viewers, clicks, and attention. From the moment Clark entered the WNBA, every disagreement, hard foul, social media argument, and controversial moment involving her generated enormous engagement. Media outlets understood that putting Clark at the center of a debate could bring additional eyes to their coverage. Thomas appeared to recognize that dynamic without wanting to become another person feeding the controversy. At the same time, Clark has developed an enormous grassroots following, particularly among Indiana fans. However, even with her rapidly growing popularity, she still has a long way to go before matching some of the legendary basketball figures who became icons in Indiana. Near the top of that list is Reggie Miller, the elite three-point shooter and fierce competitor who spent his entire 18-year NBA career wearing the number 31 jersey for the Indiana Pacers. You might expect Miller to automatically embrace Clark as the next basketball superstar representing Indiana, but his perspective has been somewhat different. Miller essentially argued that every young player entering professional basketball has to learn how to deal with adversity, criticism, and intense competition.
What did you expect was going to happen to her? Number one, I don't think it's jealousy. Oh my God, she's getting all the endorsements. We're going to go after her. You're playing at the highest level. You're playing in the WNBA. You're coming from college and you're going to the pro ranks, right? What did she expect was going to happen? Why are people so shocked, right? You're playing against grown women. The same thing happened to us.
Reggie Miller played during an era when physical defense and hard contact were considered a normal part of NBA basketball, so his perspective on today's game naturally comes from a different generation. His argument about adversity has some merit, because every great athlete eventually has to overcome resistance. But Clark's situation involves more than simply learning how to handle normal professional competition. Supporters believe she has faced unnecessary hostility in addition to the ordinary challenges that come with being a rookie. Nobody realistically expected every WNBA veteran to welcome her without competition or challenge her aggressively on the court. That's part of professional sports. But the argument is that some of the treatment Clark has received has gone beyond normal competition and crossed into something more personal. Her journey, therefore, isn't simply about proving that she belongs in the league. It's also about earning the same level of fair treatment that every elite athlete deserves. That makes the conversation much bigger than wins, losses, statistics, or individual rivalries. Another NBA legend who has been paying close attention is Magic Johnson. As a part owner of the Los Angeles Sparks, Magic has a direct connection to women's basketball and a reason to follow the WNBA closely. The five-time NBA champion and legendary point guard offered an interesting assessment of Clark while also discussing the other highly talented rookies who entered the league alongside her.
Now, Caitlin, her teammates got to come to her defense.
Sure.
You can't allow her to have to fight every battle, right? But we have to understand that both Caitlin, Angel, and Brink, who plays for my Sparks, they made the WNBA better. And they're going to be tested by these incredible women who've been in the league for a long time. Caitlin is the most popular WNBA player, but she's not the best at this time. Just like Larry and I were not the best when we entered the league, we became the best.
Magic's message was essentially that young stars shouldn't be expected to fight every battle by themselves. He acknowledged that Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Cameron Brink have all helped elevate the WNBA while entering a league filled with experienced and extremely talented veterans. According to Magic's perspective, these young players were always going to be tested by established stars who had spent years earning their positions. He also made an important distinction. Clark may already be the most popular player in the WNBA, but popularity and being the best player are two different things. Magic compared the situation to his own early NBA career alongside Larry Bird. When they first entered the league, neither player immediately arrived as the undisputed best player in basketball. Their greatness developed over time. Eventually, Their rivalry helped transform the NBA and became one of the most important stories in basketball history. Magic's comparison suggests that today's young WNBA stars deserve patience and support while they work toward reaching that same level of greatness. In typical Magic Johnson fashion, his comments managed to praise the new generation while respecting the veterans already established in the league. He avoided getting trapped in the controversy and instead focused on the bigger picture. Still, his assessment of Clark was extremely significant. Even someone with a connection to a competing WNBA organization recognizes the enormous potential and influence she brings to the sport.
And the thing I love about her, she never says a word. And now, when I watch her, two things I like. She's playing much faster. She was playing too slow the first half of the season.
From the college season.
They didn't even give her the understanding, like, you girls been ready for the WNBA season. Y'all been working out on the nose. She came straight out of college.
Anyone who remembers Magic from his playing days knows how polished and diplomatic he usually is when discussing controversial subjects. The same cannot always be said about one of his contemporaries, Charles Barkley. During his playing career, Barkley was known for his physical style and relentless competitiveness. In retirement, that same personality became one of his biggest strengths as a television analyst. The 11-time All-Star and 2-time Olympic gold medalist has discussed Caitlin Clark and her WNBA experience on numerous occasions, and his overall assessment has generally been supportive. Barkley has pointed out that fatigue may have played a major role in Clark's early struggles rather than defensive pressure being the only explanation. As the season progressed, Clark appeared to have more energy, allowing her to push the pace, attack in transition, and create additional scoring opportunities for herself and her teammates. Barkley correctly recognized that physical exhaustion can dramatically affect a player's efficiency, especially for a young guard carrying such a massive workload. But Barkley didn't stop at discussing Clark's performance. He has also spoken openly about the way some WNBA players have treated her, and when he addressed that subject, he didn't exactly hold back. His criticism was direct, blunt, and consistent with the outspoken personality fans have known throughout his media career.
You women out there, y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world. Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA. Don't be petty like dude.